On this episode, the F-250 is on a timeout because it broke so many times. We clean up this 4150 Holley, and you get to learn some grounding techniques that you can use so you don't throw wrenches across the garage. So this is the Holley that I got from my neighbor. It is a 600 CFM Holley double pumper. You can tell by the pump here, and there's another one up here in the front. So there are two accelerator pumps. So that's why they're called double pumpers. So this is well, after I looked at the numbers up here, so this says list, it was like 4776. It is a Holley double pumper, 600 CFM. This one has a manual choke and it has manual secondaries. My neighbor was cleaning out his garage and he told me that he had some stuff lying around. Said if I wanted to go look at it, I said sure. He had this on a counter. Said this was on his 57 Chevy. He had been saving it because he might use it, but he's been saving it for 40 years and he hasn't used it. So he said, do you have a car that you can show me that you can put it on? Then I'll let you have it. Showed him the projects that I have. Now I have it. So let's break into this thing. I want to just look and see how. I don't have a rebuild kit or anything yet. I'm going to get that. So if you guys want to see me rebuild this thing, so like, follow, subscribe, and then we'll get to the next part. But I want to break this thing down just to see how bad it is, because already the linkages on this thing are pretty stuck. Some of them, they've been in the shed for 40 years, so and I think the butterflies don't open. And if you look very carefully in there into the butterflies, I don't know if you can see that, but there's just trash in there. Let's open this up and see how bad this is. For these ones, it's not all that difficult to take these things apart. For the floats, there are 4 screws. There are these 4. So you have these, and then this bowl will come off. So that's what I'm going to do first, and I'm going to put the bolts off to the side a little bit, make sure that I don't lose them. These bottom ones weren't even really on there. Put these bolts off to the side. These bolts, I think they have little gaskets on them. Yeah, right here. They have like these little gaskets. These ones are, once you get the rebuild kit, they should come with these. That way we can put new ones on there. This here is the metering block. This one is different than the ones that I know, but you can tell already how just crispy this gasket is. It's just cracked here, up here, all over the place. So it's a good thing that we're cleaning this thing out, because this thing was not gonna work. Like, this gasket is supposed to be in one piece and now it's coming out in pieces. Not a good sign. The one thing that I'm noticing though too is I remember that these had 2 like power valves. So they have one on this side and then one in the front. So I'm wondering why this one doesn't. I guess we'll figure that out in a little bit. So here's another one of the gaskets. This one's not as bad, but it's not as good either. So let's throw it over there. Here's all the little passages where air and fuel get mixed up. This is something, I'm not sure what that is just yet. This is actually only the second Holley that I've taken apart, but I really like them because they're fairly easy to work on. Okay, so let's take these things out right here. Hopefully they come out. There they go. Maybe I should get a wider screwdriver. They're not too bad, but I do want to clean these out. 1 metering block done. Let's check the float. The float in here is, it's there. Pretty much what it is a toilet. That's pretty much what it is. The fuel comes in through here and it fills in this bowl, and just like your toilet, once this little plunger gets to a certain level, it cuts off the supply of the fuel that's coming in from this side. It shuts it off, and you have a full bowl. And then we have the accelerator pumps down here, which are 2 different kinds of screws. Cool. Okay, let's crack this thing open. Oh, this is really on there. Let's see. Okay. You gotta be careful because there is a spring in here, so we need to keep that spring. This thing is dry. It hasn't cracked yet, but oh, there it goes. It started to crack already. You can see the little cracks in there. Okay, so we have the power valve housing, which is pretty rusty, but it'll still work. We have the whole float assembly. Let's take the needle and seat out, which are these ones right here. So here we have the top part. You have the nut that goes on the top, and now I can't get it. Oh, I'm dumb. You gotta still use this thing to get it out. So let me get something to help me with that. Okay. I didn't know which size it was, and frankly didn't really want to look. So I found a little crescent wrench. And that's how we get it out. And here we have it. Needle and seat. It actually still works. It's pretty cool. Put these parts off to the side. And here's one of the gaskets, so we'll do that over there. So there we go. That assembly is done. Let's do the same thing with the other side and see what we have over here. My neighbor did tell me that he was going to bring his 57 Chevy here one of these days so I can take a look at it. I just want to see the thing. And then he has this thing is called a Rochester Ramjet that he's working on. It's a fuel injection from like the 50s. It's pretty cool. And he's trying to fix it so he can put it back onto that 57. So see, this one has this piece and this one over here didn't. So that's why I'm wondering if it's supposed to be like that. Let's take out the metering block first. Same thing as we did last time. Let's get this old gasket out. And here we have your power valve. I do need to take this thing out. I'll take it out in a little bit. But let's get this gasket off. How does Vice Grip say? It's drier than Bob Barker's back. These are pretty rough. I mean, yeah, they're going to be pretty rough. They were in a shed for 40 years, right? He said he kept wanting to like rebuild it, fix it up and everything, but he just never had time. And that guy's in his 60s. So he's like, oh, I don't really want to deal with that stuff anymore. So now I have it. Let's make this guy proud. Let's get these little guys out of here. Let me get this power valve out. There we go. See if it works. Oh, it still works. But again, it's a diaphragm that's in here, and it's probably pretty dried out, so we don't want to use that guy again. These are the two metering blocks. This one's the rear one, and this is the front. You can tell the difference between on this one, I guess. The front one actually has a hole that goes all the way through, and this one doesn't. So this is the rear. This is the front. Let's get the needle and seat out. This one works too. Yeah, I might be able to use these. I might have to change the O-rings out. There's this. Let's get the accelerator pump out. Oh, alright, hold on. Spring got away. Alright, caught the spring. Here is the accelerator pump on the other side. Let's see how gross this one is. Oh, you can hear it. Let's see if I can. You can hear it just getting crispy. Yeah, this one's already broken right there. Now that we got this, let's work on the main body of this here carburetor. First thing, let's get this squirter out. Here we have a size of this one, 32. You can tell by the size right here on the side of it, it'll have stamped numbers under them. And then there should be one inside of the other, over here where the choke is. There should be one hiding back in there. So let's get that guy out and be very careful not to throw it into the carburetor. Come on, my fat fingers. There we go. Let's see what this one is. 25. So we have a 25 in the back and we had a 32 in the front. So the reason that they put them at different sizes like that is whenever you're driving regular, just like a standard drive, you know, these two are going off first, and this what the squirter's for. Once you hammer on it, the back one will open, and it seems like the back one is a 25. That one was like that because maybe the car that this one was on, maybe it was bogging. It was giving it too much fuel when it was going to the back. So to adjust for that, that's what he did. Pretty smart. Next up, let's take the base plate off. So the base plate is pretty much all these little screws that are in here. I think there's only like 4 of them that actually hold it together. So these 4 outside ones, I don't remember. So let's just start taking off bolts until something happens. Okay, let's see if that does anything. And no. Alright, let's keep going. Let's go with these middle ones in here. Then we're gonna maul off for here. And take these little stands that my neighbor put on here. Pretty smart actually. They kept the mounting surface out of off of everything else. There's all of those bolts at the bottom. Let's see if we can pry this thing off of the base. Remember, be very careful. Last thing you want to do is to mar up the mounting surfaces or anything like that. I know I'm missing something. Well, I think I'm going to take these little plugs off. Let's look at it and see what could be holding it on. This, possibly? I know I can probably look it up online, but I'm not going to do that. I want to look at this thing, sort of figure it out on my own. What I think is probably happening is the gasket underneath there is probably so worn out and fried that it's holding it down. There we go. Well, that's pretty gross in here. And we do have one little thing over here holding it together, and that is this little cam thingy right here. Let's get this piece off, okay? And we're going to pull this thing apart. Alright, so here is the base plate and then the actual housing itself, which isn't that bad, but there are spiders that lived in here at some point, and the linkages are full of dust and dirt. So we do need to dust these off first. Let's see if this one even works. Oh no, this one's... oh, it does. Yeah, they still work. It's good. Alright, let me get like a little brush and I'm going to take all this dust off of here. Okay, that part's clean. This one's not clean, but just dust it off. Let's get this gasket off of here. Oh no. Well, that's not going to be easy at all. Okay, let me try to scrape some of this off here. Okay, we're going to need some special tools for this one. Gasket's pretty much clean off of this one. That took a long time and a whole lot of, you know, just sitting here and scraping away with this fucking razor blade. Okay, so let me show you how we're going to clean it though. We're going to use some good old Berryman's Chem Dip Carburetor Cleaner. Does it have to be new? Probably not. This one, I found it in my shed over there. I'm guessing it's corrosive enough that it'll still work. And if it doesn't, then I'll try something else. So this is pretty much what it is. A little basket. Throw your stuff in there. Like in this case, we're going to check in bolts for the stuff, you know. I'm going to throw that in there. I'm going to do all the little stuff first. Look at all these little bolts and stuff that held the carburetor together. Okay. Now we're going to throw these in there with them. And it's heavy, so it'll sit to the bottom and then just check whatever else fits. I'm going to throw the bowls in there too, because I think they'll fit. There they go. Let's try this one. We're going to sink Will it float? Should probably using gloves with this. Ah, whatever. I'll be fine. All right, that's good enough. I'm just gonna leave it like that, and we will come back in about an hour, and we'll see how it goes. In the meantime, I'm gonna go do some other stuff, and then we'll come back. While we let our carburetor soup boil over here, I wanted to talk to you guys about grounding seals. And what grounding skills are is for whenever you feel really anxious, depressed, overwhelmed, things like that. It's a way for you to trick your brain into focusing more on stuff that are current, and it relieves some of that stress, anxiety, anger, whatever it is that's plaguing you. That way you don't use your anger and like punch windows or chuck wrenches across the room, because that will cause more damage, and we don't want you to do that. So these are more safer skills for you to utilize whenever you're doing that. And actually a lot of the car community already does it. I'm just sort of explaining to you what you already do. And don't even act like you don't, because I know you do, because I do it and I see a lot of memes about it. One of the things is it's called a 5-4-3-2-1 grounding skill. The 5-4-3-2-1 technique involves you getting into a comfortable position wherever it is that you feel the best. Is you count 5 things that you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. And if you're thinking, oh, I'm never gonna remember that, just think of it like one of those, use the first letters. So it's see, touch, hear, smell, taste. See, that, hot, Supra, turbo. So just use that and you'll remember the sequence. The reason that I said that a lot of you guys already do it is because I always see the memes of people sitting underneath their car and just taking a breather. That's what it is. That's literally what you're doing. You're laying in a comfortable position because you are already like having a bad time as you're fixing your car and everything. Taking a little breather, you get into a comfortable position, which is underneath the car, and you just lay there, and then you just go over the acronym, see that hot super turbo. So you go see 5 things you can see. Whatever broken line that's there, the wheels that you just put in, whatever diff stuff that's leaking, whatever it is like that. Touch, you touch, all the parts that are underneath there. You're like, oh, this one probably needs to get fixed, and this one needs to get fixed. You can hear Harbor Freight jack stands creaking that are about to take you out. Smell, you can smell the fact that you haven't showered and you're probably feeling pretty ripe, whatever oil and stuff is underneath it. And taste, you can taste the fact that probably you didn't brush your teeth in the morning, or that beer that you just drank, whatever it is like that. And you just lay into the car or wherever it is that you're gonna be, and you just go over those things. You have 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing that you can taste. So remember that acronym, see, that, hot, Supra, turbo, and it'll remind you of all the stuff that you need to do, and then you feel better. I want you guys to learn these things because I know half of you guys aren't gonna go to therapy anyway. So at least if you can do stuff while you're already working on your cars, then it'll be better for you, but better for your family, and better for everybody. So that's your mental health moment for today. If you have any other questions or any other comments or any stuff that you want me to talk about, put them in the comments down below, and then we'll figure that stuff out. In the meantime, carburetor soup is still not done. I'm gonna go have a snack, and then we'll continue on this thing. So I'll see you in a bit. I'm going to pull some of these things out, see how they're doing. So let's get the bowl out of there. Looks fairly clean. Let me spray with some water and see how it looks. Oh man, it took the red off of it and all the rest of it. Dang it. Alright, well, at least it's cleaner, right? Let's get the rest of the stuff out of there. Let's put this guy in there now. Oh, and it doesn't fit. No. Alright, how are we gonna do this? You know what's frustrating too is that it has a picture of one of them on here. Actually, I think that's an HP, but still, like, I want the thing fit. I got an idea. Put this guy actually in here. Let's just pour it in here. So we're gonna let this stuff soak in here. I'm gonna go and grab I gotta go to the store. I'm gonna go run some errands real quick. We'll get like a little brush or something, and we're gonna clean this thing out. Okay, let's take some of this stuff out. Clean it up with this little brush thingy that I got over here. And see what we got. I don't have the gaskets or any of that yet, but I just wanted to see how it looks before. That way I don't just waste money on stuff if this carb is like too far gone, which doesn't really look like it is. This is the base plate. This is the part that sits onto the engine block. So this, or the intake manifold, I mean. So this one wasn't too bad. And the butterflies, it actually open a lot better now. Let me clean inside of here too. It actually opens a lot better now. This one still gets a little bit stuck. Where does it get stuck? Let me see. Oh, it's because of this spring right here. Let's see if I can clean that spring off. Or maybe we can just set it in with the spring side down. Alright, we'll just do that. Alright, next thing in here is... what else is in here? There's a bunch of screws. Oh, we got the bowls, right? Let's pull the bowl out. We rinsed this guy. Okay, we got the bowls out of there and we dried them off. So we're just gonna put it back together. No gaskets or anything, because we're not gonna run it just yet. Just wanted to see what it looks like once it's all cleaned up. The bad thing though that it took off the little Holley sticker that was here. I probably should have took that off first, but I'm dumb, so I didn't do it. And if this isn't the right way to do this, let me know, because I don't want to fuck this thing up, you know? Okay, there we go. We got these two. Now to put these things back together, we need one of them goes in here. And then we have another one somewhere. This one goes on this side. Alright, so we got the bigger stuff in here now. We took all the little stuff out, so let me sort of put some stuff together, that way we can see what we got. Okay, so these bowls are back together, sort of. I did notice something. The screw that the guy had put on here before, it has like 2 washers on it, and it still wouldn't like tighten up correctly right here, so I am going to need to find another screw for this one. Which is fine. Just wasn't anticipating that, but that's alright. So this is the front one. You can tell by the front because of something. But what would be the difference? Because I know this is the front metering block. So how would we notice if this is the front or the back? They look the same. Is it just preference? I'm guessing this one was the front because the sticker was right there. So let's use that one. Front. Here we go. And this thing right here always goes at the top. I'm not sure what it does, but that's where it goes. So we'll put that way. And then there's a power valve that goes in here, but we're not going to put that on yet. And then here's the back one. So we're going to do the same thing. There's that one. And all of these have 4 holes. Oh, you know what? When were you guys going to tell me that I forgot about those? Come on, guys, you gotta pay attention. Like I'm not paying attention. Alright, now we're good. So we have the front and the back here, ready to go. Each one of these things they all have 4 bolts all the way through them. Usually what holds these things back onto the rest of the body of the carburetor. Those are done. Now we just have to wait for the rest of this stuff to finish cooking over here. And then we can put some of this stuff back together. Alright, here we go. Let's get this bigger stuff out of the tank or the bucket, whatever. See how they did. Actually, a lot cleaner. Well, obviously, right? I mean, these are still kind of, you know, dusty. Not dusty, but they're still kind of corroded, but it's good. I like it. The real thing would be this big boy over here. So let me rinse these things off and we'll see how they look. This is just a quick cleaning just to see what we have. This isn't going to be the final one. Once I actually do it, I'm going to put it in through like a sonic thing or whatever. I want to get this thing like super clean, but I do want to just see how everything was, and it doesn't look too bad. So let's see. Without gaskets, so y'all have to remind me, there's no gaskets on this thing. Let's put this thing together. Okay, so aside from the squirters and this little weight that fell out, let me figure out where that goes. It's assembled, but again, it's not, this is not the final anything. Cleaned up pretty good, I'll say. I think I might put this one on the 350, on the C10, and I think it's going to come out pretty cool. So if you guys want to see me actually clean this thing fully and repair all the things that I found, put all these stuff back together, install the rebuild kit and stuff like that, follow along. You know, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell whoever, because I enjoy this stuff. This stuff's fun. So if you guys want to see more, hit the follow button, hit the bell, and all that fun stuff, because I have some good plans for this here carburetor. This thing's gonna come back to life pretty soon. So stay tuned, be nice to one another, remember all the stuff that you learned, and we'll see you next time. Bye.